When you spend your whole life building up retirement savings, it is completely natural to picture it like this. You look at your different accounts, and in your head, you dump it all onto the table as one giant, identical pile of money. But assuming the tax system sees this as one single mountain of cash is exactly where most retirees make a mistake that costs them thousands of dollars. When the IRS looks at your savings, they see your money separated into 3 completely distinct buckets, and each one of these buckets plays by entirely different rules. Almost nobody tells you that the exact order in which you open these buckets after you stop working can be the difference between keeping your savings or losing a huge chunk of them to the tax system. If you want to keep the money you worked your entire life to build, rather than handing it back to the government, we have to master the sequence of these 3 buckets. Let us start with bucket number 1, on our counter. This is your regular brokerage account, and we can think of it as the pay-as-you-go bucket. You already paid income tax on that base layer before putting it in. Over the years, investments made a profit, sitting as a separate top layer. Because your base money was already taxed, the IRS only takes a tiny slice from that growth when you withdraw. Next is bucket number 2. This holds your traditional 401k or IRA, and it serves as the pay later bucket. The government gave you a tax break to put money in, allowing it to grow untouched by yearly taxes. But here is the catch. When you open this bucket, every dollar pulled out is treated as regular income and taxed heavily before it reaches your pocket. Opening the first bucket only taxes your profit, while opening the second bucket taxes the entire withdrawal. Finally, we have bucket number 3, your Roth account. This is your VIP bucket. You paid taxes before the money went in. As a reward, the government places a heavy lock on it, permanently shielding the inside from future taxes. When you eventually pull money out, every single dollar, including decades of growth, is completely yours to keep. Let us run a real-world scenario to see why your choice of bucket matters. Imagine a retired couple who needs to withdraw $150,000 this year to live comfortably. If they pull that full $150,000 from bucket 2, the traditional account, every penny counts as regular income. That pushes them into a much higher tax bracket. Contrast this by pulling the exact same $150,000 from bucket 1, the brokerage account. Since the tax code gives a break to profits on investments you've held for a long time, the tax rate on that growth can often sit close to 0. They maintain the exact same lifestyle, but face completely different tax bills purely based on which bucket they opened. If you need money this year, what is the exact order you should empty these buckets to protect your wealth? This flowchart lays out the optimal path. Drain bucket 1 first, the brokerage account, because it has the least tax protection. Next, move to bucket 2. Save bucket 3, the Roth, for last, allowing its tax shield to keep compounding your money tax-free. There is one main exception to this path. If you have a year with unusually low income, it makes sense to intentionally break the order and pull a little extra from bucket 2. Taking a small tax hit while you sit in a low tax bracket prevents much bigger headaches later, when mandatory government rules eventually force you to withdraw that traditional money, whether you want to or not. The standard sequence is your best starting framework. Smart retirees use it as a base, making small yearly adjustments based on their specific income situation. There is a hidden trap most retirees miss. The bucket you choose to open directly changes what you pay for healthcare. The premium you pay for Medicare or Marketplace health coverage is often tied directly to the income you reported 2 years earlier. On the left, pulling a large sum from your traditional bucket acts as reported income, secretly pushing your future healthcare premiums higher. On the right, using your Roth bucket keeps your Medicare bill completely flat, because Roth withdrawals do not count as taxable income. The final consideration is what happens when you pass away and leave these buckets behind for your children. Leaving behind a traditional bucket forces your kids to take mandatory, highly taxed withdrawals, stacking right on top of their own earnings. But leaving a Roth bucket gives them an asset that continues growing completely tax-free. A successful retirement is about understanding the 3 distinct buckets you own and pulling from them in an order that protects your wealth, your healthcare, and your family.